So continuing right along, we always like to hear from the principal of the high school where we are having our meetings, hear what they've been doing and some exciting things that are coming up. So please help me welcome Lisa Drabing, the principal here at K Park. It's my pleasure to... Okay, Lisa, they're recording, so they want you to use it. Sorry.
I don't like a mic. I always like to use the coaching voice, but I'll use the mic. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Kingwood Park High School. It's always our honor to host this event here at Kingwood Park and get a chance to interact with all of you. My leadership team and I are truly excited about opening our doors for the 17-18 school year. I know you all must think, what do they do during the summer? There's no teachers and there's no kids, but I can promise you there's a lot of planning and a lot of organization and a lot of reflection that goes into the new school year. And so when our teachers and students do arrive, the magic can begin. So our teachers will arrive on August the 16th and our students on August the 28th. So that's coming up really, really soon. We would love to extend an invitation to you to come out to any event that we're hosting here on our campus. We would love to see you out there. If there's anything that we can do for you, please reach out to us and let us know. Kingwood Park High School would love to be involved in some way in helping you out. So please don't hesitate. You know where we are. And thank you all so much and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, we're going to skip over Mark Mitchell. He's not here yet, but we'll, as soon as he arrives, and we'll have him present. So we're going to move on to Stan Sarman. Stan, if you could make your way on down. He is the chairman of the Lake Houston Redevelopment Authority, and he's going to talk to us and give us updates about the North Park Drive expansion. Here you go, Stan.
Thank you very much. Thank you. They asked me if I wanted to do a PowerPoint. I said no, because I've got drawings here that are about 15 feet long, and to put them on a screen like this, you'd never see anything. I'll be glad to stay after the Bizcom is over, and anybody would like to look at the drawings, be glad to explain them in more detail. But I know I've got, what, a half an hour to talk? Is that correct? Okay. So anyway, I'm going to be real quick here. The TERS has been, and Tom Brode is also on our board. We've been very actively working with the City of Houston, preparing a lot of documents to do a couple of things. One, we're trying to get the life of the TERS extended from 2027 to 2053. In 2053. Yeah, 25-year extension. Anyway, or 2052 maybe. Anyway, whatever it is. And along with that, we've got a new project plan going forward, and also some other areas that the city asked us to include in an annexation plan. So those are all in the process. The TERS and the Redevelopment Authority, we've done our homework, completed all of our work, turned everything over to the City of Houston, and they're going forward with hopefully getting the item before City Council as far as a council order, so we can get this moving forward. This would allow us then to sell bonds and to be able to pay for our share of the improvements on particularly North Park Drive. North Park Drive, because the mayor has agreed to transfer the funds from, and that's part of the City Council ordinance, to transfer the funds from Kingwood Drive to North Park Drive. We're looking at trying to fund what we call the west half, or the west portion of North Park Drive. That's basically from I-69 to Russell Palmer. Trying to get that done first, which would include the overpass over the railroad tracks in 494. It is not a direct connector, as some people sometimes continue to use it. We are not doing a direct connector into I-69. We will have triple left turn lanes, and which would hopefully increase more cars through the green time on the traffic signal. we're moving forward with that as quickly as we can get the city ordinance approved, which gives us the right to go forward with the remainder of that work. The second portion, or easterly portion of North Park Drive, which is from Russell Palmer to 494, we're still pursuing funding through HGAC and the TIP application process, which will include federal funding. Both projects roughly are about $30 million a piece. The TERS would pay for their share of the westerly portion, which would be about half, and then 20% of the easterly portion, which is the amount that we're required to participate as the local governmental sponsor. So that's moving forward. As far as time of construction, we're hoping to have the plans completed and all of the approvals so that we could perhaps start construction by early 2019. That still seems like a long way off, but it takes time to get, we can't complete the plans till we get this ordinance approved. So that's all moving forward as quickly as possible. The concept is still the same you've heard before. There's going to be 6 lanes. We're going to close the ditch in, put 3 lanes each way. Where the overpass is, there'll be 2 service roads on each side so that it'll have access to the businesses. And I've met with a lot of the businesses in that area who are concerned about making sure they have access to their property. And we are very much aware of the need that they get access and have access, continue to have access. So we're working forward on that. So that's all moving forward. Now, as far as the easterly portion through HGAC, we continue to attend all of their monthly meetings with the PAC and TAC committees, which are the ones that will put out the call for projects. We're waiting for that magic day so that North Park Drive will hopefully be included in that. It's all the indications we've received from the staff is that we have a great opportunity to get this done. And the TERS is doing everything we can to move ourselves up the priority list to get the funding from the federal government, including things like doing the environmental studies, acquiring right-of-way and that sort of thing when the opportunity gets to that point. A couple of the other things we're doing, we have recently received bids from Jordan to do the improvements on Westlake Houston Parkway at North Park Drive and Westlake Houston Parkway at King's Crossing. Both those intersections will have some modifications done. King's Crossing will be adding a right turn lane going from northbound onto King's Crossing to improve the traffic flow north, and also some minor modifications of traffic signals there. On North Park Drive at Westlake Houston Parkway, we're extending the left turn lanes going northbound there by Kroger's. And we're also adding some right turn lanes coming southbound onto North Park Drive going west. And the left turn lanes going from North Park East going north, those are being improved and extended so that we can have more traffic because of the Brookwood development that Friends was doing up on Westlake Houston Parkway and Mills Branch Drive. There's expected a lot more traffic coming down that direction. Those 2 projects are intersections have been bid. We're going through the process of getting contracts signed and awarded, and hopefully that will be under construction by sometimes in September and completed hopefully by Christmas. So that's moving along. Now, our plan also is that once we get that underway, we're going to start looking at a couple of more intersections that were approved in the Kingwood Mobility Study and go forward with the design of those with hopes of having construction next year. We are obviously limited on how much funding we get from the city of Houston, so we're having to kind of pace ourselves as far as the funds we have for intersection improvements. The North Park Drive projects will be funded through a bond sale predominantly. That's about it. Am I running out of time? Okay. If there's any questions or if anybody would like to look at the drawings, I know Jessica's seen them 100 times, and Tom Brode and a few others. Yes, sir. Well, the tax increment reinvestment zone was created, and we're the TERS number 10, and there's about 25 of them around the city of Houston. We were created back right after the city of Houston annexed the area. The developers out here got with the city and said, since we can't have mud districts any longer, can we create a TERS? And so the tax increment reinvestment zone, what we get is if there's a raw piece of property like Brookwood, and Royalbrook, and as that undeveloped piece of property develops, we get the incremental increase in the taxes that are generated by that area. And those funds are used then to do projects here within the Kingwood area. And we have the Kingwood Mobility Study kind of as our marching orders that we've gotten approved through Public Works, through the public out here, and we're moving forward with those projects as we can. Okay? Yes, sir. That's the plan, yes, sir. Okay. Any other questions? Well, it's gonna take. Well, the unknown factor here is we do have some right-of-way acquisition that we've got to acquire, and so we've got to see how quickly that can be done. If all goes well, you're looking at about a year and a half construction time. Okay, so probably mid-2020. So, okay. Any other questions? If not, whoop. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Do you oversee the Westlake, Houston, and Kings River area as well?
No, sir. We do not. And matter of fact, just for your information, the TERS does not even include all of the Kingwood area. It was created to include all of the major thoroughfares have been annexed into the TERS, and then the undeveloped property that existed basically to the east of Kingwood, the south portions of Kingwood that were undeveloped back in 1997, and now the westerly portion west of I-69. That, what I call Kingwood Place West, that's all included in the TERS boundary. The new annexation plan will include some additional commercial tracts throughout Kingwood that potentially could be redeveloped as time goes on, similar to what Lovett Commercial has done with the new HEB facility there on Kingwood Drive and Westlake Houston Parkway. The other thing we've included in the new annexation map is the Lake Houston Wilderness Park. The city of Houston asked us to include that in our boundary so that, and as time goes on in the future, there may be some opportunities for us to participate in some activities there. So, so that's in a nutshell where we are. A lot of things happening. Yes, sir. Montgomery County is very happy to work with us. They don't have any money. They're working with us and supporting us in every way they can, especially through the activities with HGAC. Okay, my time's up.
All right, thank you, Stan. So Stan, later on, could you just lay those out here for everybody to take a look at? Okay, and then he'll be around as well for any other questions that you have. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Dr. Clevenson to come up next, and then we'll have Mark. I see that you came. Okay, we'll have you come right after Aaron. So next up we have Dr. Aaron Clevenson. He is the observatory director. Does everybody know that we have an amazing, awesome observatory here in the Lake Houston area? Yes? Okay. Anybody didn't know that? Come on. Okay, a few of you. All right. Well, you are going to be awed and amazed. All right. So we're going to have Dr. Clevenson come on up. Welcome him. There you go.
So before we turn it over to Dr. Clevenson, we just wanted to take an opportunity to thank, Christy Tarkington with Humble ISD with Community Development. So, and I think this is very fitting, Corinne, today that we have the Giving magazine from Insperity. We just wanted to thank all of you for the many ways that y'all are supporting students going back to school this year. So regardless of whether you are a Memorial Hermann that's doing an employee drive that will benefit Humble ISD, or if you are another business that's supporting HAM and the school supply drives that they do, you are making an impact on these students and the families that they're serving. So thank you for everything. If the other thing, our office does receive calls throughout the year about how you can support a drive if your business does not do one. So supplies may be dropped off at the administration building Monday through Thursday from 8 to 4:30. And you can also make a gift online through the Education Foundation. So thanks so much. Okay, so we want to hear more about the observatory.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Dr. Aaron Clevenson. I'm the Observatory Director at the Insperity Observatory in Humble ISD. Oh, and it worked. Oh, that's hard to see, but that's okay. I just want to mention up front so I don't forget, I do have handouts, so if you didn't get one on the way in, there'll be some up front up here. And we also have business cards from the observatory that we'd like you to take one as well. Okay, so I mentioned I'm at the observatory. Although we are part of Humble ISD, we do not get any funding from Humble ISD, so I too want to point out Corinne and Insperity's brochure, because it's very important to us. That's how we actually fund operations and maintenance and acquisition of new equipment and things like that at the observatory. I should also warn you up front, the last time I gave this presentation, they gave me an hour, and I went over. However, I'm going to be respectful and keep it very brief today. I'm going to talk really fast. First off, I want to talk a little bit about what we are, the observatory. So we're an astronomical observatory. We do have telescopes. And our primary role is in support of the students of Humble ISD. So our high schools send their astronomy classes about once a month, and mostly in the evenings. And our middle schools and elementary schools can also bring groups to the observatory, once a semester if they'd like. And we can look at the stars and other exciting things out there in the universe. We also provide support for Lone Star College, Kingwood, North Harris, and Montgomery. All three campuses do send their students to the observatory again, about once a month, I would guess. In addition to that, we have public nights, and I need to stop there just briefly to mention Friday. Friday is public night. You all should come. Bring your family, friends, neighbors, all that good stuff. We're open from sunset to 10 p.m. on the first Friday of every month. So again, this is August, so that'll be our August public night. So please do come. The other reason for coming is we do have a solar eclipse coming up in August. Although it's not directly coming through Houston, if you do want to look at it, you need eclipse glasses, and we have those at the observatory, and we'll be passing them out on public night. We'll also be open on the 21st, so it's a Monday, but you're welcome to come to that as well. A couple other quick things. We do provide observation opportunities for other groups. So Insperity has been out there recently, but all kinds of groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, organizations. If you get one of the business cards that has my email on it, just send me an email and we can talk. And then the last thing is the astronomers themselves. We are all volunteers, including me at the observatory, and the payback for why would I bother to volunteer is after the public leaves, or whoever's there, it's ours, and we get to use the equipment. So in that regard, I'll offer, if any of you are interested in getting more involved in astronomy, or perhaps your children or whomever, again, just let me know. We're always looking for volunteers to help us. And that's absolutely horrible, but okay. On the inside of the brochure, so if you don't have one, get one. This is the inside of that brochure, and I just wanted to mention a few things which, of course, you can't see up here. So I mentioned we're based on donations. This is our donor wall. It's a giant star chart, one whole wall of the observatory. And all of our donors, the most significant donors are on that wall, but we also have other places where we recognize smaller donors. So those are always welcome. It talks about some of the art. I do astronomy and art. That's one of my things. And I'm not going to go into all those because I don't have time. But I did want to mention our new baby. We now have 4 principal telescopes that are in the observatory. They're peer-mounted and computer-controlled. And our newest one is a 6-inch Takahashi refractor that Insperity very generously, thank you, helped us purchase. They granted us the money to purchase that. And it's awesome. Absolutely the most wonderful views. 6 inches doesn't sound very big, but when you're talking a refractor, and especially one of this quality, incredible things to see. Let me just do a quick look, see if there's anything else I need to mention. I think that'll be it for now, just because it's so hard to read. But are there any questions? Yes? Yes, that was off topic, but yeah, I also run the science fairs for the school district, and we are always looking for volunteers. So take one of my cards. It's got my email on it, and please send me an email. We would love to have your help. Thank you for asking, though. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Yes? Okay, if you are familiar with where the Humble Civic Center is, it's 3/4 of a mile directly south on South Houston Avenue. It's on the left-hand side. It's in the parking lot for the main parking lot for Jack Fields Elementary. Yes?
How recently was the new telescope donated?
The donation officially was December, at the very end of the year. The telescope arrived in March. And so very new. Any others? Yes?
What does that new Takahashi telescope do that the others didn't?
A refractor is a very different animal than a reflecting telescope. It uses lenses instead of mirrors. And the Takahashi is a company that makes, I would say, the best refractors in the world. And this is the largest one they commercially make. They can make larger ones if you want it custom made. What it does for us is views, especially of planets, like the detail on Jupiter and Saturn, as well as detail on the moon, and even deep space objects are just wonderful looking through that telescope. The images are really crisp. You get to see detail you would not normally see on a much larger telescope. And we have much larger telescopes, but the view is even prettier. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clevenson. Another thing that that he didn't have a chance to mention, but this is one where the roof retracts. So when it's a bad day, you can have the roof closed, and then it's almost like Reliance Stadium, very, very close. Yeah. And then when it's beautiful out, they can roll it on back, and it's a small wonder. It really is. So I would encourage you that if you haven't gone, please definitely go do that. He mentioned special events. We, in honor of the new telescope being christened, so to speak, we had 3 nights where we had Insperity employees and their families were able to go, just kind of a private night there at the observatory, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So, if you represent a company, consider doing that. Maybe that's a great company outing that you guys could do all together. Bring your kids, make a whole evening of it. But it truly is incredible. And is it like, I think it's like the only one, in the state of Texas that is on a school property that, yeah. Okay, I want to be clear about it, but go ahead.
I realize you can't hear me on the microphone, but
I'll repeat it.
I, without any hesitation, would say there is no school district in the U.S. that has an observatory like this one, or anything close to this.
Yeah, so it truly is amazing. And the observatory itself, just in a nutshell, came about by the vision of the Humble ISD Education Foundation. The board members, this is several years ago now, just really, they had raised money, and they said, you know what, we want to do a Challenge Your Dreams grant, something that, was way out of the box, that, if money was no object, what could we do? And teachers and administrators submitted grants for this project, and this was the one that was chosen. And we are very blessed that we have so many people in our community that gave towards it, that saw the vision, for our teachers that can think outside of the box, and were willing to submit something like this. And then the community got involved. And it's the Insperity Observatory because we gave the biggest chunk of money, but I'll tell you that it wasn't just a corporate check that was written. Our CEO went to our employees and said, "This is Insperity. This is all about people, and we want everybody here in Insperity to donate who wants to this." So we had a big employee giving campaign, and people came out of the woodworks. I mean, people that I didn't even know worked at Insperity were jumping on board and giving donations and everything. So it truly is. It's not just Insperity because the company wrote a check. It's because our employees who are residents here in this community said we want to be behind it as well. So we're proud to have our name on that. And thank you, Aaron, for doing such a great job there. Let's give him another round of applause. So speaking of our great community, we're going to have next up Mark Mitchell, who is the president of our Lake Houston Area Economic Development Partnership. Come on up. Mark is new with us, not in the community, but in this role, and he has taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, and he is doing a phenomenal job. So what he's going to do is give you kind of a quick overview, because he could probably talk for an hour as well about all the things, or two, but he's not going to. All right, here you go, Mark.
Thank you. And in terms of doing a phenomenal job, that does not include showing up to Bizcom on time. So Johnston, my apologies for raising your blood pressure here this morning. So he did everything he was supposed to do except crack me upside the head and make sure I went outside the door when I was supposed to. So I'll try to be brief as well and leave it for questions at the end. But this will be an update from essentially April when I started to date. So there's been a lot of great activity that's gone on. Quickly, just our investors, and there will be another slide to show and promote our investors at the end as well. But just quickly, these are the metrics that we go by relative to economic development. You'll hear BRE, which is business retention and expansion, and all that really is a fancy way of saying, how do we support our local businesses operationally and workforce-wise? So I sit down and meet with our local businesses and businesses outside of our realm as far as our membership, and talk to them about their operations, their capital budgeting, their workforce, and what I can do to help them offset those costs, either through various incentives on the capital side or wage subsidies, tax credits on the hiring side. So that's all BRE really means. As far as the workforce recruiting and attraction, that's just us responding to companies that are interested in moving to our area. We essentially get leads from the state and or Greater Houston Partnership. We essentially respond to RFPs, and we work directly with the state and GHP to make sure that we're promoting the area effectively. Lastly, branding. Essentially, that's more of a national aspect as far as site selectors and companies that are looking for locations for either organic growth, M&A, acquisitions of competing companies, and essentially we use various means to do that. I've been in economic development for 20 years, and essentially I use either the folks that used to work for me or I worked for, social media, which Morgan is training me on right now, various investor portals, and then print media. We're working with Generation Park to do media kits. And so if all of you, has everyone seen the VR goggles that Generation Park has produced? If you we'll figure out a way to get a set of those, but what they've done is essentially all of your cell phones will work within their goggles. It's a URL you plug into your phone, a dual picture comes up, they've got 3D lenses inside. You just slide your phone in and you literally can look around Generation Park at potential and existing development. It's the coolest thing you'll ever see, and so I'm actually sending that to site selectors across the country to get them interested in looking at that development. It's the only 4,000 contiguous acres in the Houston metro, so it's a great place to for them to look. So as far as the BRE, so far what I've done is met with 24 companies, and I've started with our members first. We've got to demonstrate to our members that there's a value in economic development. So I'm sitting down with them first, and then we'll go outside that ring after the first of the year. So far I've met with 22 of our 38 investors, and then the additional companies on the bottom are actually companies that are kind of kicking the tires and looking at opportunities in our greater area. We've responded to, or we've received about 20 RFIs from the GHP and from the state. The issue is we've only responded to 2. And so we've tried to be strategic. A lot of the projects that are coming into the state of Texas now are a heavy, heavy industry. And I don't think you'd all be happy with me if I put in a steel mill in Generation Park. So some of these we pass on relative to our strategic and culture for the area. So we're really focused on regional headquarters. You look at Generation Park, we've got FMC, we've got Tilton, we've got Apache Industrial. So we're really looking for those middle, upper income jobs and those types of companies to locate here. We're also looking at regional headquarters along the 59 corridor and also helping healthcare expansion as well. This market is still very underserved, so we think there's still opportunities relative to healthcare, and you'll see a little bit later in the presentation that we're seeing some growth in that area too. As far as supporting new growth, we provide customized research for companies that are looking to come here. So we could have developers, hoteliers, healthcare companies, manufacturing. They'll call me looking for workforce information, wage information, median household income. We work with Lone Star College and the North Houston Economic Development Center to provide that information to companies and/or site selectors and developers. And then I briefly talked about the site selector media kit that we're working on right now. We've already started sending out. We've actually done 3 FAM tours. I took a gentleman from Scotland around. Aberdeen is a sister city to Houston for the oil and gas industry. So eventually we're going to have this gentleman come back in the fall, and then if it makes sense, we'll maybe make a trip over there. But there are tons of cross-pollination, if you will, in the oil and gas industry for Houston and Aberdeen. Mopani Holdings is a local company that we've toured here in the last couple of months. And then London Consulting Group is an interesting company. They do everything from ERP implementations to site selections to internal CEO training, and they took a tour of Generation Park in the 59 corridor about a month or so ago. This is just some of the activity. Eagle Fabricators is on Shirley Lane near the airport. They're doing a brand new facility, 100,000 square feet, 80 to 100 jobs. Actually, it'll probably be closer to 120 jobs. We're waiting to hear back from them now whether they're interested in us helping them with federal hiring credits and rascally rabbit, federal hiring credits and wage subsidies for their new folks. Generation Park actually just announced on the west side of Lockwood a logistics and warehousing facility. GHX just took down about 145,000 square feet of space, 22.5 of actually office headquarters, the other 122.5 of warehouse and distribution space. The National Realty Group and MedCorp Partners has actually announced they're going to do an independent assisted living facility in Atascocita. The most interesting thing for this group, and I thought this was really great, is I keep in contact with McAlpine quite often, and these pictures aren't great either. They're kind of washed out. But this is space once they did kind of a complete tear out. And then they essentially took a building on North Park Drive, and many of you may have seen the signage outside, Joslin Construction. It's just west of the Walgreens that sits on the corner at the intersection of Woodland Hills. But they essentially took C office space and turned it into A office space. And it is really, really nice on the inside. So McAlpine essentially is helping them market the remaining space. I think there's 14,000 square feet of A space on North Park Drive, but they did a phenomenal job of renovating this facility. And again, we're seeing the residual impacts of what we saw at Westlake Houston and Kingwood Drive. We're starting to see more and more folks come in and essentially do new developments inside Kingwood, but they're adhering to the Friendswood development guidelines, which is really nice. And those guidelines have essentially kept Kingwood as high a quality as it is. Some additional activity outside. Another medical facility going in on 59 at Archway Properties. DaVita Dialysis on FM 1960, this corner right here. Multiple hotels going in. There are 3 hotels under construction on FM 1960 right now. This is relatively new.